The Atlantic Division is going to be a division to watch this year in the NBA. With LeBron going to Philly and Jaylen Brown getting traded to Philly. And then you have Boston with PG, Paul George, and you got Jason Tatum and company over there. We know that the reigning NBA champions, the New York Knicks, are obviously still going to be there. We know that. Okay. Brooklyn is going to be a little bit better. You still got Michael Porter Jr., Mikael Brown Jr., Julius Randle gets over there in the trade. And then the ultimate question mark at this point, the Toronto Raptors and Kawhi Leonard. Now, we do believe this deal is going to go through, but damn it, it's still a little bit of a wild card. What I'm trying to say here is the Atlantic Division is about to be a nightmare for the 2026-2027 NBA season. There are going to be some really fun matchups to watch, and I won't get super in-depth with all of these teams, but I will touch on them just a little bit, even if it's just the starters from a depth perspective, and then we can talk about it a little bit in the comments. But this is going to be a very fun division to watch. Very fun division. It's going to be a flat-out war. It's going to be a flat-out war. And so the first thing that I think about and this is in terms of just quick thoughts with each of these teams. Brooklyn. Now, Brooklyn is going to be the team that is rebuilding, if you want to call it that. You bring in Julius Randle, right? And yes, you still have Michael Porter Jr., Daron Sharp. Those are some nice players right there, but you really don't have the depth. You're still pretty young. Got a bunch of rookies with you. So I wouldn't say expect too much from the Brooklyn Nets, but I will say this. They're obviously going to be better than last season. And I'm not expecting them to be some top team in the Eastern Conference. I think we all know that. I don't even think they're going to be a playoff team. I don't think they'll make the playoffs either, but I still think they'll be a pretty decent team, and we'll get into them in just a little bit as well. But just like I mentioned, my quick thoughts on some of these other teams. The New York Knicks, all right? The New York Knicks, the question is, obviously, you still have your leadership of Jalen Brunson, and you know the company that he has on that team. They're full of studs, right? They outwork you. They out-hustle you. They really do their thing on that team in regards to the New York Knicks. Championships, the leadership, and it's going to come down to me, how comfortable are they going to be now that they don't have that monkey on their back and trying to get that championship? Are they going to be as thirsty, as hungry as they were last season now that they have that ring? How are they going to come out? Are they not going to be satisfied, or are they okay having one ring? That's the question for me. The Boston Celtics, they still have talent. Like we can't go around here thinking that the Boston Celtics are going to be some bums now because they don't have Jaylen Brown. The Boston Celtics are going to be a damn good basketball team with or without Jaylen Brown in the lineup. They have talent. What the chemistry is going to be like with Paul George, I don't know, but they have good coaching. They have good atmosphere. They have good culture. The team is still going to be really good for the Boston Celtics. What that chemistry is going to be like, I don't know, but they play hard, they shoot a lot of threes, they get up and down, like I mentioned, ferocious atmosphere, all of that kind of stuff for the Boston Celtics is they're still going to be present. They're still going to be a relevant team and a good team. I mean, when it comes down to the playoffs, I mean, I don't know what to expect. We're not even in the damn regular season yet. We're not even in training camp. We still got a ways to go. I'm just a guy out here making some predictions. But overall, when have you seen when is really the last time that you saw the Boston Celtics beat trash in the regular season? It kind of just doesn't happen. They still have talent. They play hard. They're well coached. And they still got Jason Tatum. He's going to be much better this season coming back. Obviously, missed pretty much the whole damn season. He's going to be ready to go. and there are other guys on that team. You get Mitchell Robinson that can flat out ball, and we'll talk about them in just a little bit. Two more teams we're going to talk about here. The first team I'll go with right now is the Philadelphia 76ers. And obviously, we know Jaylen Brown gets dealt there in a deal. We know Tyrese Maxey is there already. LeBron James signs a 2-year deal to go to the Philadelphia 76ers. And Joel Embiid is still there. Now, on paper, this is a team that looks incredible, right? This, to me, can either go really good or really bad. I don't know if there's a middle point right now. So, to me, everything about the Philadelphia 76ers comes down to chemistry. Flat out just comes down to chemistry. This can go incredibly bad, but damn, if they're hitting on all cylinders, my God, how good this can go. And we'll leave it there for just a second before we circle back to them in just a little bit. The Toronto Raptors, my Toronto Raptors, everything right now with this team is about what happens with Kawhi Leonard. Now, when you mention these other teams, aside from Brooklyn, but when you're looking at New York, Philly, and when you're looking at Boston, obviously all of these teams being in the Atlantic Division, these are the teams that you're going to play the most. If the Raptors do not have Kawhi Leonard on this roster, they are in serious trouble. They are going to be in serious trouble without Kawhi Leonard. Now, I'm definitely not panicking over this because we all expect this trade to go through. But if you got Kawhi Leonard, Scotty Barnes, Colin Murray-Boyles, and RJ Barrett, and quickly Walter, Shed, Allen Graves, who's supposed to be a nice rookie, like what we saw out of him in Summer League, and some of the other young pieces that you're going to have. There are good things on the horizon for the Toronto Raptors. But damn it, I want to hear this deal be finalized. Because everything in regards to the Toronto Raptors this season is really contingent upon Kawhi Leonard being in that damn uniform. Now, yes, they got a bunch of good players, even aside from Kawhi Leonard. But we're talking about if you are going to compete at the next level, if you're talking about being a top team in the East, he's got to be on there for what he contributes on the offensive and defensive end. And we all know that. We all know that, and we have to acknowledge that. Let's tell the truth here. He's got to be healthy. He's got to play. He's got to be on the roster. And damn it, I ain't talking about being on the roster and then potentially missing 50 games with some damn suspension. Can they please figure this thing out and figure it out soon? And I feel like I saw a report saying that the NBA, we're going to be expecting the schedule. Is it sometime next week? I would hope if you did that, you've already figured out what the punishment is going to be, if any, for one Kawhi Leonard. Because with him being on the roster, they're going to get more primetime games. We know and we understand that. So those are just some quick thoughts in regards to all five of these teams in the Atlantic Division. But we're going to look at roster just briefly. And by roster, I mean, let's look at maybe just some of the starting five here before we get really too crazy in depth. You don't want to necessarily go too crazy when it comes to going in depth. Why? Because we're still in the off season and there's still moves that are probably going to be made from each of these teams. In what capacity? I don't know. But I'm expecting still something to happen, whether it be big or small. It still affects the rest of the roster. So I don't want to go through it all, but we will talk about some of the pieces that looks like it's going to be in your starting lineup. All right. Where are we going to start here? How about we go back to I have it on Boston here. Let's go back to the Brooklyn Nets. Let's do that. And I talked to you about the Brooklyn Nets being a team that, is not going to be great by any means. Don't get me wrong, but I do think they're probably going to be better than people think. I mean, Michael Brown Jr. or Mikal Brown Jr., Igor Demon, Michael Porter Jr., Julius Randle, and Daron Sharp. Now, I am not expecting the Brooklyn Nets to be a playoff team. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not expecting them to be, one of the most improved teams in the NBA. I'm not saying that at all. But I am expecting them to be a lot more competitive, obviously, than they were last season. And I do think, I'm not going to say there's some type of sleeper team. Definitely not going that far. But Daron Sharp, Julius Randle, and Michael Porter Jr., they can get you some games, right? They can definitely get you some games. And I do think they'll be competitive on a night out, night in basis. I'll put it that way. Even if they don't necessarily win a bunch of games, I do expect them to be competitive on that front, right? Like that is something, I don't know if anybody will agree with me on that, but I do like what Brooklyn has. And I think the best way to put it is I like the direction that they're going in, right? I don't like the tanking stuff because for me, all of that tanking stuff, just to see your team be absolute ass year in and year out, and then it pretty much amounts to nothing. And don't get me wrong, you get a nice play in return, right? And listen, I will say this. I mean, Mikal Brown Jr., I'm going to say it right now. I do think because of the position that he's going to be in, this is going to be your point guard. And the ball is going to be in his hands. He's a nice player. I mean, good size, can finish at the basket strong, can shoot it from three, get into the passing lanes. I like him. The guy can ball. I'll tell you that much. He's young. He doesn't have any fear. I could easily see him, because of the position he's going to be in, as probably a candidate for Rookie of the Year. And that's not just because I know he's going to have the ball in his hands. He's going to get the minutes. What he's going to do, I don't know. But he's a very nice player. He's got a lot of upside. And damn it, he's going to play. He's going to play, and he's going to play early. So we'll have to watch and see what happens there. But all I'm saying is, I think the Brooklyn Nets are going to be a tad bit better than people think. And even if they're getting there, they're not going to win a lot of games, in my opinion. But I do think they're going to be competitive, and I will leave it at that. The next team I'm going to look at is the New York Knicks. We all know the New York Knicks just won the NBA championship. And damn it, they just outwork you, out hustle you. They play with heart. These guys, I mean, the New York Knicks, absolutely nothing to sneeze at. And I just think they're going to be one of those teams that they're not going to be satisfied with just one ring. They're going to come out. And you know what? This can actually work in their favor, because when you get that ring, you have pretty much not necessarily the same exact team, but your team is pretty much similar. I mean, you're looking at Brunson, you're looking at Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Karl Anthony Towns. And then you still have some nice pieces on your bench. We're not going to, I mean, Carl picking up Drummond, you have Landry Shamet, and I said I wasn't going to go into it, but you guys can see it here for yourself. The New York Knicks have chemistry, they have toughness, they have coaching. The talent is there. They have it all. And if they continue to put their body on the line, play with each other and for each other, continue to grab those rebounds. And when I say grab those rebounds, sacrifice their body, I'm just talking about playing with heart. I'm talking about playing with a certain level of its intensity and ferociousness. The New York Knicks are just that kind of team. And it's not even a team where they necessarily have the best talent. They just have it in them. They just work harder than you. They just want it more. They just want it badly. When you're talking about a team that has culture, a team that has fight and scrappiness, and they're just willing to outwork, out hustle, do the things that you won't do. That is the New York Knicks. And I'm excited to watch how they're going to be after the championship to see if they can repeat what they did last year. Moving on now. The Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics to me are very interesting this year coming up. And I think it's because I feel like the Celtics are going to have something to prove. I mean, getting bounced out of the first round last year, they still have talent. And I mean, let me get the roster up on here for you guys to see, for those who may not know who's on the roster. Derek White, Baylor Shireman, which I don't know if he's going to be in the starting lineup, Paul George, Jason Tatum, Mitchell Robinson. And I mean, you still got some pretty nice players on the bench for you as well. Pretty interesting to see how it's going to be with Chris Senak Jr., rookie, and some of these other pieces that you got on the bench here. I think the Celtics feel like they got something to prove here. I think they're going to be playing like they got a chip on their shoulder. And I mentioned it before. I said, when have you ever heard the Boston Celtics be some bums or a slouch, especially in the regular season? Doesn't happen. Well coached, crazy atmosphere in Boston at those games. They're a tough team. They're willing to live and die by the three. They got some kahunas, I'll tell you that much. And they still have talent. And they're tough. And they're experienced. You lose Jaylen Brown, yes. I get that. I understand it. And I know Paul George is being looked at like he's some type of bum. But the guy can still play. And I think he's going to have a better season with this unit. I think the egos are going to get dialed back this season for anybody on the Boston Celtics because of what they're looking to prove this year. And boy, can you imagine those games between the Boston Celtics and the Philadelphia 76ers? I got a feeling that's who we're going to be seeing on on Christmas Day. It'll probably be Philadelphia in Boston, I would assume. But it's going to be a really, really crazy few games with the Boston Celtics and the Philadelphia 76ers. That's going to be really, really fun. So overall, the Boston Celtics, I believe, are going to be playing with a chip on their shoulder. And I feel like they have something that they want to prove to everyone, especially Jason Tatum, without having his now former running mate, Jaylen Brown, there as well. That'll be interesting to look at. And since I was talking about the Philadelphia 76ers, how about we touch on them quickly right now before we get to the Toronto Raptors? Now, on paper, right, we're going to be looking at the Philadelphia 76ers like, damn, look at this roster right here. I'm not sure if you're going to have VJ Edgecombe starting for Philadelphia this year. I feel like one of these guys, it's going to have to be Edgecombe coming off the bench. Maybe he won't come off the bench. Maybe he just will start. I don't know. But let's look at the lineup here for Philadelphia. Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Jaylen Brown, LeBron James, and Joel Embiid. I mean, are you kidding me? Seriously, are you kidding me here? I mean, on paper, this lineup looks absolutely incredible, right? There's no denying that. But is Joel Embiid going to be healthy? That is a question. Are they going to be able to play as a cohesive unit? LeBron James, Jaylen Brown, Tyrese Maxey, Edgecombe. There is only one basketball. And listen, these guys all know here that they have an opportunity here for the ages. I mean, can you imagine the games that you're going to see in Philadelphia? Can you imagine that city? Can you imagine the crowd? It is going to be ruckus in Philadelphia this season. Just crazy. And I feel like there's no place for middle ground here. This is just, it's clearly just championship or bust. Whether you get it in 1 year or 2 years. I mean, this is a hell of a starting lineup. LeBron James is probably going to be handling the ball a little bit more. I mean, he has incredible, and I mean incredible passing ability. LeBron James is a phenomenal passer, and he's going to have the ball in his hands a little bit more. Probably going to have Tyrese Maxey off the ball a little bit as well. But damn it, you got options here, and they got a pretty damn good bench. Do you know who scares me the most and who has scared me for many years now? Out of everybody in this starting lineup, it's Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey is absolutely frightening. He's frightening. I mean, speed, tough. His ability to shoot from 3-point range. He's not afraid. I mean, Tyrese Maxey is what you call an absolute stud. And then you have a guy in Jaylen Brown who can do it all. Edgecombe was a pretty damn good young player. Big ass in Joel Embiid. If he can stay healthy is another question in LeBron James. I mean, seriously, on paper, this team looks incredible. But it's all about, can they do it together? That's the question. And can they be healthy? Because we've all seen teams look great on paper. It only takes one thing to derail the entire unit, the entire team chemistry, whether it be injury, whether it be bad vibes, guys can't get along. All of that can be derailed and be derailed quickly, no matter what team you are. And I'm not saying that I even hope for that to happen, but it's going to take work. Everybody's going to have to be on the same page. Everybody has one. They all have one basketball in the game. Both teams. So we'll see what happens there. Now, the Toronto Raptors. The Toronto Raptors. Everything, and I mean everything, comes down to the Toronto Raptors getting Kawhi Leonard. That's what this comes down to. Because let's just say, for example, this trade gets rescinded, right? It doesn't go through, okay? You get back Grady Dick and Brandon Ingram. Let's just say, I don't believe that to be the case. This trade is going to go through, I think. But if that's your team, you're running it back with the team that you had last year, still going up against the Celtics and the Knicks and this Philadelphia team. Brooklyn is there as well, but we're not really concerned about them. But these are three of the better teams in the Eastern Conference. Three of the best teams possibly in the Eastern Conference. These are the guys you're going to have to be going up against a whole bunch of times this season. But you put Kawhi Leonard in there for the Raptors with Barnes and Murray Boyles and Barrett and Pirtle and Quickly and Shed and Walter. You got something here. You got something here. From a defensive standpoint, right? You're looking at a three-headed monster with CMB, Scotty Barnes, and Kawhi Leonard. And I know that everybody has been talking strictly about, oh man, Kawhi Leonard, hell of a player. Had a great season last year, both ends of the floor. Completely understand that. And I expect him to be a damn good player for the Raptors this upcoming season. But my eye, damn it, is on Scotty Barnes. I'm expecting big things from Scotty Barnes this upcoming season. And having some help there on both ends of the floor, whether it be offense or defense, what Kawhi Leonard is going to bring to the table is going to free up Scotty Barnes even more on both ends of the floor. And I really believe that Scotty Barnes, Kawhi Leonard, and company overall, that to me doesn't just look good on paper. The chemistry is going to be there. There's going to be familiarity with the team already intact, plus Kawhi Leonard there already. Yes, it's a new coach, new system, but I think as a unit, they're going to work well together, and the pieces are going to fit. That's what I think about the Toronto Raptors, and that's why I believe that they are going to have a really good season this year. Not just because of fit, the talent that they're going to have as well, and being a unit, but from what they're going to be able to bring from a defensive standpoint, and they're going to have size. Kyle Anderson's there as well. They're going to have size. They're going to be a big, physical, strong team, right? Offensively, they weren't very good last year. They were good from a defensive standpoint. They need to bring up the offensive end of the floor to a top 10-ish level and then keep that defense where it was. But there's a few more things that I want to touch on quickly before I get out of here, because this podcast is running a little bit on the long side. Now, it's going to be a gauntlet, right? It's going to be exhausting going up against these good teams in the Atlantic Division for each one of these teams over and over and over again, right? They're going to have to dig deep. They're going to have to go into their bag. They're going to have options. Everything that they do is going to have to be crisp, because look at where you're playing. We know what kind of atmosphere Toronto is. We know that. We know the type of atmosphere in Philly, in New York, in Boston. Brooklyn, I don't know that much. They got a nice crowd there. I'm sure they're a decent crowd. But overall, I mean, these are all crowds that are ruckus, crazy buildings. All right? Everybody knows that. And it's like, how do you manage these runs against these teams and these crowds, right? Like your coaching is going to matter so much this year, and how good and how well your team can execute. It's going to be crazy, the Atlantic Division. And damn it, I'm here for it. Tiebreakers are going to matter. A bunch of these head-to-head matchups are absolutely going to matter. And the thing is that because this division is going to be so good and you're going to play these teams a bunch of times, your best player, like your superstar player for any of these teams, whether it's Brunson, whether it's Tatum, Kawhi Leonard, LeBron, Maxey, Michael Porter Jr., whatever the case may be, whoever it is, they're going to matter so much this season and in these matchups, because if these are close games with these good teams and it comes down to the end, a lot of it is going to depend on what your best player can do for you when it really, really matters. In crunch time, when there's 10 seconds left on the clock and you're down by 1, 2, 3, or up by 1, 2, 3, whatever the case may be, that's when your superstar is going to have to show up. And that is something that we are going to have to really, really pay attention to this season. Tough teams, defense, rebounding, all of that kind of stuff. The grit, it's going to be a hell of an NBA season. I'm calling it, and I think we all know that. It is going to be absolutely incredible. The last three things that I want to touch on: scheduling, right? What are the schedules going to look like? What are the back-to-backs going to look like in this division, especially before I even get to the rest of the Eastern Conference at another podcast down the road against these killer teams? The scheduling is going to be important. We're going to definitely be keeping our eye on that. Kawhi Leonard, because listen, Adam Silver did talk about LeBron James holding up the schedule. Obviously, it's important, and everybody wants to see what type of matchups that are going to happen on specific days, Christmas Day, and all this other stuff, right? But to me, that's what I was mentioning before, right? Kawhi Leonard on the Raptors. Don't you want to see certain matchups there? Don't you want to kind of have an idea and have that in place as well? There are some matchups that you're going to want to see, whether they play the Clippers or whether they're going up against whoever the hell it is, Philly, Boston, New York, whatever. Like, you're telling me if you got Kawhi Leonard and Scotty Barnes and Barrett and Quickly, CMB, whatever, and you're going up against the New York Knicks, damn it, you don't want to see that on primetime? You don't want to see that on primetime? You're damn right you want to see that on primetime. What are we talking about right now? You're damn right we do. And so I do think Kawhi Leonard matters to the schedule as well. Obviously not as big as LeBron James. He's not that big of a draw compared to LeBron James. But overall, the Raptors are going to be a pretty damn good team if he's in the lineup. And if he's in a good team, you want to see good teams play against good teams on primetime. So I think they should already have some kind of idea on what the hell, and by who, I mean Adam Silver in the league, on what is going on with one Kawhi Leonard. Last thing I will say is this. What do you think is going to happen? If you made it this far in the video, please let me know. If you had to pick, and maybe it's not really necessary with Brooklyn, but we'll see, because maybe some other moves get made there at some point. But if we're looking at Boston, Toronto, Philadelphia, and New York, and I'm assuming all of these are going to be playoff teams, aside from Brooklyn in this division, what happens if these teams, any one of these teams, get off to a really rough start? I don't see that happening with the New York Knicks. But I don't know what's going to happen with Philly. I do think they're going to be good, but I don't know what's going to happen with Philly. Toronto, Boston. Do you think any of their front offices necessarily panic and do something crazy? I don't know. But let me know what you think in the comments. And if this is your first time watching the show, get in the comments. I always respond, whether it be the next day or in a couple of days. I always respond to the comments. All right. So Let me know your thoughts on the hectic matchups that we're going to see in the Atlantic Division. Who do you think will be at the bottom? Who do you think will be at the top? And let me know about what you think about these teams at MikeRoach7 on IG, at MikeRoach23 on X. Make sure you follow, like, subscribe, and share the Mike Roach Show. The Atlantic Division is going to be an absolute nightmare.